resistant question that is, this is just another pyramid scheme where you continually have to sell products and services and so forth. David, we covered it tonight, but it's worth repeating. One of the unique things about the VoiParty model and why it's not a traditional MLM is that there are no monthly products to buy to generate income. You are actually creating part of a telephone network, and it's the network itself that generates the income. And it does so from residual incomes that already exist. $1 billion a month cash flow just in the U.S. without even getting into what we're going to tap into internationally. And so the folks that are forming part of this network, our telephone poles, are going to be benefiting from that. But beyond that, and that wasn't even touched on tonight, is the fact that the retail phase, all those customers, well, guess what telephone poles those calls are going to be going over? So all of that money will also feed into the network as we continue to grow our retail customer base. And with the number of poles that we plan to put up, I think Craig mentioned earlier how we're only using 300 minutes a day. Well, that's about half the capacity of a line. Well, guess where the other half is going? Retail. We'll be able to service some 20 to 25 million customers with those telephone poles. And the great news is we could always release more poles if we need them, if we want to keep growing at that point. But there's lots to do right now just getting this first 1.3 million poles up. Okay, let's find another good question here.
Hey, Joe, in a sentence or two, could you explain to folks real quickly how an IXC typically does what it does? We know that the overhead changes and the whole mechanism changes with VoiParty. What's those other 90,000 companies?
Sure. I'll
What's that
explain
look
that
like?
a little bit. Well, well, basically a traditional IXC company, what they did back in the old days, and this is described on the corporate video that gets into the history of telecom, going all the way back to the early 80s when Covista and Telna were some of the first companies to start introducing VoIP rights for IXC. But what they'll do is they'll go out to a ILEC and they'll buy T1 lines is like the minimum bandwidth. They're typically 24 channels. Or they'll buy DS3s, which is multiple T1, 672 channels in a DS3. And then this connects to a huge switch, which is like a little VoiParty box with 2,000 little brothers around it. And so that's connected to a soft switch, servers, a bunch of equipment. And so all that infrastructure is then used to terminate those calls. And that equipment and that infrastructure is very costly to maintain, bandwidth, fiber, and so forth. And then in turn, those guys are aggregated because 672 channels is actually a very small provider. So those guys are aggregated by these master peers who then turn around and deal with the big boys in the industry. And it's not just domestically that we receive calls. Remember, companies like Deutsche Telekom, British Telecom, Telitalia, all these companies are calling into the U.S. They need to pay termination charges as well. So it's a very, very large global industry. And we just found a better way to do it where we don't have that overhead.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's see if we can find some other ones here. Okay. Send two people to, okay, I'm getting a lot of those sign-up ones, and I do apologize. Okay, what's this about 900 figures of cell phone to VoIP? Someone here asked a question about mobile VoIP. I wanted to touch on that just as a little tidbit here for you guys for next year. Mobile VoIP is something that is going to probably be the standard 5, 6 years, maybe even 10 years down the road. There's been some companies out there talking about doing it, and it does work, but not as stable as it's going to be. However, where you do get high broadband wireless, you're going to be able to use some applications we're deploying. Probably by the middle of next year, you'll be able to deploy an app into your smartphone so that if you have an iPhone, a BlackBerry, Nokia, Ericsson, or any phone that runs Windows Mobile, you'll be able to download a VoiParty software that literally allows you to use your VoiParty account inside your cell phone anywhere you have an internet connection. And you heard it here first. That's going to be released middle of next year, and it'll be a way to cut down your cell phone bill. So if you have an unlimited plan with AT&T or something, and you're paying for 5,000 minutes a month, you can probably reduce the cost and be able to use your VoiParty on your internet side. So that's kind of cool. Let's see, website versus taxes. Possible to make. Okay, folks. A lot of the questions I see here, I think I need to have you address them to us individually. For instance, Rudy is asking me, is it possible to make more clear what is stated about VoiParty privately? What is such a great opportunity? I don't want to see it hurt in any way. I'm not quite clear what you're asking there, Rudy. And there's quite a few questions like that about the internet connection at home. Will my box work in Canada? Again, these are individual questions that I think you're best sending them to customer service so we can address your situation. But as far as the box working in Canada, the box will work anywhere that you have high-speed internet connection, and obviously that your phone line has free, unlimited local calling. Very, very important points that Craig covered here.
Yeah, Joe, we're coming up on 7:45. I know you wanted to get over to seeing what's happening.
I'm trying to find a couple more good ones. There's so many. I'm trying to read through them and pick out the ones that. Okay. Please explain what the company is going to do to bring in 1 million people to fill the matrix. Okay, that's a good question. Well, actually, at the pace that you guys are bringing people in, I don't think you're all going to leave a lot of room for us. But we do have multiple campaigns planned for marketing. We've actually been asked by several of the top leaders in the organization that if the company would consider holding the VIP door open just a little longer, and that is something that's in discussion, but some of our plans are time sensitive that we want to launch in January, but that's not been taken off the table as far as holding that open for you guys a little longer. Once we do start marketing, we have built a database of tens of millions of prospective emails. We've got multiple e-commerce marketing ideas from our CTO, who's, as you guys know, used to run a billion-dollar e-commerce business online. And so we've got a lot of different ways to commercials, a lot of different ways to market the opportunity, because the company does want to recruit heavily. But we're just trying to make sure that our friends and family get a chance to get in and get positioned, and that's what we're offering you guys as well here with this VIP offering. And let's see what else. Does it make sense to bring in more than 5 people? Betsy, the compensation plan explains that there's 2 ways to get promoted. If you bring in your 5 and everybody does their part, your promotions happen automatically. So you'll move up the compensation chart every time that process replicates below you. However, if you want to get down to the lower levels a little quicker, every 10 people that you sponsor after your initial 5 also promotes your level, and both promotions work simultaneously. So if you get 15 people, and out of those 15, any 5 get their 5, that qualifies for 1 promotion, and you get a second one for the fact that you did 10 over your initial 5. So you would have moved to level 6 in that scenario. Okay.